On September 17th, 2013, 9-year-old me and some friends were eagerly excited to get to my house and play a video game. As the school bell rang, we dashed out of the classroom. Jumping up and down with excitement, we could not wait any longer. We ran into the house, turned on the TV, and jump-started my Wii U, and we played Super Mario Bros., a classic back in my day. Until my friend said something like, "Hey, did you hear about that new Grand Theft Auto game?" Me not knowing anything about M-rated games, I said, "No, what's Grand Theft Auto?" And he just said, "Here, let me just show you the trailer."
Why did I move here? I guess it was the weather.
And from that moment on, my life had completely changed. Grand Theft Auto, 10 years later, what a amazing and immersive and crazy journey this has been over the past 10 years. Even though I was never allowed to play this game on my own, I was always playing it over at friends' houses. And I used to watch so many YouTube videos on GTA 5. I watched so many funny moments videos, like the Gaming Limb videos, the Solomon videos back in the day. Eventually, on my 14th birthday, after waiting years, the game was finally mine. After waiting years to have my own hands on the game, it was such an experience playing the story and the online for the first time. And, obviously, both story mode and the online are both completely separate. They both had unique experiences. But I think the story of GTA 5 is honestly one of the most nostalgic games I've ever played. Whenever I replay the story mode, seeing Michael in the therapist's office complaining about his life and his lazy-ass kids, and then walking out in the Santa Monica Pier as the music in the background, the characters on the beach, I get this feeling like welcome back home, as kind of cringe as that sounds. The city of Los Santos feels real, like I actually lived here. Maybe it's just because I spent so much time here, and maybe too much time here, and just seeing so much of this game over the last decade. But it's no doubt that this map is one of the most well-known in gaming history. There's this Joker meme where people love to say, they know the city more than the hometown, which, used to be true, but I don't think it's much anymore. But I think just like the whole story of GTA 5 and like the characters and the protagonists are what make this game so special, and to me and to others. Starting off with our three main characters, Michael, Franklin, and Trevor. Franklin was just a kid from the streets. He was running in gangs in the hood in the bad part of town. He had some jobs here and there, but he worked for this guy called Simeon, which was this guy who ran this scammy car dealership, and we literally had to steal cars for a living, hence the name Grand Theft Auto. He still lives with his aunt, and he hangs out with people from his childhood, but deep in his heart, he wants to get out of his life. He wants to become something more, and he is tired of the same old bullshit and the same people in the same city. He wants to get out of the situation and become something more of his life.
Look, man, it's been a real honor, homie. But I gotta move forward in my life. It seems like all I do is let people tell me what to do and I do it and nothing changes.
I tell you what, my boy, you tell me exactly what you want, and I will very carefully explain to you why it cannot be.
What?
During a job that he's sent on, he steals a car from this mansion, and then it turns out this was Michael's house, and this is how they meet in the story. Michael is probably one of my favorite characters in the GTA series and all of Rockstar games in total. He just has like a more unique story than others. Years ago, him, Trevor, and Brad were bank robbers and successful ones, but I guess he felt the same way that Franklin did at this moment. He wanted to get out of that life as well. He had a wife and 2 babies on the way, and was ready to quote-unquote retire. He sets up this elaborate scheme to fake his death, and that slowly gets revealed throughout the game. The way that it gets revealed about the truth about Brad and him faking his death was absolutely amazing. And the writing and how everything connects in the story is really interesting, which I'll talk about more later on in this video. But last but not least, we have Trevor. And Trevor is kind of doing the same old bullshit. He's still a criminal and he still runs drugs in the desert. He's still the crazy guy that he was back in the day. And finding out that his best friend Michael was still alive.
I kicked bang a Michael Santa, about the right age, married with 2 kids.
What's his wife's name?
Amanda?
Amanda?
Yeah.
You're a genius, you moron. Come on, come here. Woo! Don't you ever not tell me things I want to know.
Trevor returns to Los Santos to reunite with his old pal. Franklin and Michael have become really good friends in this portion of the game, and they have a lot in common in that they share, similar stories and they have similar past. Michael has been done with his past, and that includes Trevor. He doesn't want any part of him and his criminal life anymore. He only started robbing banks again because he had a massive debt to pay, which led this massive domino effect of the FIB and Trevor finding him again, after believing he was dead for about a decade. When Trevor gets back to the city, he wants to start back again his his old criminal career with Michael. Ever since Michael and Franklin robbed that jewelry store, it seems like everyone from his past comes to haunt him, especially Davey, who works for the FIB, that also needs help with the secret war that's happening within the government. And this is the main story thread that leads us down where everything gets revealed later on in the story, including Brad, like Michael's death, Davey, and the whole government thing. While all this bullshit is happening in Michael's life, he's also dealing with a lot of family stress. His wife keeps cheating on him with the tennis coach, his son has no life, smokes weed all day and plays video games, and his daughter who's trying to become famous in Hollywood for some odd reason. And Michael himself drinks all day, he watches old movies, and then he ends up in therapy. And going back to the classic first trailer of GTA 5 where he says,
I bought a big house, came here, put my feet up, and thought I'd be a dad like all the other dads. My kids would be like the kids on TV. We'd play ball and sit in the sun, but, well, you know how it is.
He wanted a nice life with his family in California. He grew up with old classic Hollywood movies and he wanted that dream life as well. But life happens and things don't turn out the way that he thought they would. Michael's family leaves him. He is left alone in this giant house. He's got a gun to his head and he's being forced to do the government's bidding. And moving on to Franklin, and Franklin is moving on with his life. You know, doing a bunch of heists with Michael and Trevor has made him big money. He moves out of his aunt's house and he gets this giant mansion in the Hollywood Hills. He became and achieved way more than he thought he would. But of course, like Michael, his past comes to haunt him as well. Maybe not as much as Michael, but still has people that come back to him. His best friend Lamar, who obviously is still his best friend, he comes back and of course he is a little bit jealous. Even when he was working at shitty jobs, Franklin was always in first place. He was always getting Employee of the Month, the fancy cars and everything, but he would never betray him. And Michael and Trevor's dynamic, they're in this constant war of betrayal and trust. They don't know if they can trust each other. And bringing this all into one of my favorite missions in GTA 5, Bury the Hatchet, where we have the interesting conversation between Michael and Trevor.
Man, let me just ask you something, all right? Something I've been thinking about. Up in North Yankton, exactly who was buried in your place?
I never gave it any thought.
You know what I'm thinking?
I had no clue.
You treacherous piece of shit! You're fucking dead! You're fucking dead! Fuck. Trevor, hey, T!
Trevor has lived a very crazy life, and also a very tragic one. He has lost so many loved ones, like his mom, Michael, who he thought he did, and so many ex-lovers and friends along the way. That's why finding out Michael was still alive threw him off the edge because he always trusted him. And Trevor, throughout the story, thought Brad was in prison, and if they worked and helped out the government for a while, they would release Brad, and that's what he was thinking throughout the entire story. He thought Brad was in prison, and that they were going to release him after we did all these heists for the government. During the mission Bury the Hatchet, Trevor storms off to North Yankton to finally find out the truth about Brad and Michael's death. After digging up his grave, he finds out Brad is the one buried there, and of course at this moment, he feels betrayed once again. After everything they've been through, years of doing heists and knowing each other, being best friends, it all once again just went down the drain. Their friendship once again is in shambles. While Franklin at this moment in the story is really coming along. The only thing that bothers him is that this constant drift between Michael and Trevor, you know, since they're not really speaking to each other at this moment. It's kind of like when you have two of like really good friends and they don't like each other and you have to kind of hang out with both of them at different times. That's how Franklin feels at this moment. Michael is even more alone at this point. Most of his friends and family have left him until one day his son Jimmy comes back to the house, and at this point in the story, Jimmy has been kind of an asshole. He's the one who drugged him while the rest of the family members moved out of the house. He's the one who fucking stole his car, for God's sake, and the one who stole his boat. It makes sense why a lot of people don't like Jimmy, but at this part, I kind of think this is the redemption for him. He basically comes back to the house to see his father.
You do bad shit and things. I don't know if I love you, and I'm pretty sure I hate you a little bit, but I'm just so fucking upset that we can't even see each other. And you're just a drunk, lame dad.
One thing that I didn't mention yet is that this game is fucking hilarious. It's like one of those movies that like always makes you laugh no matter how old. But anyways, Jimmy basically comes back to the house because he loves him. He loves his father, of course. And this cutscene shows that after all the bullshit, they care about each other immensely. So Michael finally goes ahead and reunites with his wife and daughter. And once again, in classic Michael fashion, he beats up everyone. And what I love about this mission so much is that he's finally trying. He's finally trying to have a healthy relationship with his family and with his children and his wife. And he's doing the best he can to fix these problems. And even though he doesn't say that he was wrong, he knows it. He knows he messed up at this moment. And after everything, Amanda and Michael still have to work things out, but they are finally through that threshold. Everything here is leading into the end of the story. Michael has his family back, Franklin finally moved up in the world, and Trevor is still, well, Trevor. The FIB shit show is coming to a close. Everything seems great. Michael has this big movie coming out. Everything seems great. They just have to have one last meeting with the FIB and we're pretty much done. At least that's what we thought. Steve Haynes comes to Michael and basically is like, yeah, fuck you. We're gonna put you under arrest. You're gonna go back to prison. And all this leads us into like a big, massive shit show and all these different organizations coming together to basically kill each other. And all this leads us into a big, massive gunfight. And when we least expect it, Trevor comes to the rescue. He comes to save Michael, his best friend. So after the gunfight, they agree to meet up in an alleyway to talk things over. Trevor is still mad at him that he stabbed him in the back, and it makes us wonder, like, why did he save him then? And it turns out there only one reason why he saved him is because he promised him something.
You were, and always will be, a worthless wretch who deserves to be put under.
Yeah, well, what the fuck did you come back for?
Oh, you know why.
Flashback.
I want to make movies.
Great. It's great. And, so where exactly does this leave me in the second act of your life?
We're gonna do this last big job, and then we're gonna dissolve the partnership.
He always promised him this one last giant heist. The big score, the big one. This is just one last heist and we're done with Trevor. The biggest heist we've ever done, literally millions and millions of dollars. And this is the final heist in GTA 5. But before this, Michael has this big movie premiere that comes out he was the producer for. During the red carpet, he runs into Devin Weston and he ends up sending his army to finish off him and his family at their home, since he got away when they tried to arrest him back at the meeting. And after this, we have the big one, the last score. And to be honest, this is one of my favorite heists in the game. Whether you do it the sneaky way or the loud and blazing way, both versions of this heist were really great. So once we're done with the heist, literally the biggest job of their life, it still wasn't enough to seal their friendship, and Trevor and Michael are still mad at each other. But anyways, a few days later, the smoke has cleared, but there is still one thing left. Devin Weston. He shows up at Franklin's house since now he wants him to kill Michael, but the feds want him to kill Trevor since Trevor did that Merryweather heist earlier on in the story. And he can't kill them both, obviously, because he doesn't want to, because those are his best friends. But if he doesn't do anything, everyone can die. So it's a hard decision to make. And if you play this for the first time, you don't know what happens in ending C. It's kind of scary because you have no idea what can happen in each ending. Franklin can die, they all can die. It's a death wish, you have no idea what's going to happen. So the first option you have is kill Trevor, ending A, which obviously we don't really want to do, but it seems like the best option on the board so far. So we meet up with Trevor in the middle of the night and we pull up a gun to him. And after so many betrayals happening to him recently, this is the last thing he needs. They get into a massive car chase and Michael actually comes to help to put down Trevor. Once they put him down in the blazing fire, they both storm off as nothing happened. Michael knows Trevor's insane, but they were best friends, and he feels bad about why he chose that decision at that moment. But Michael feels satisfied that everything is over. But Franklin feels a little bit mixed, and that's the end of the game. That's ending A for you. And moving on to ending B, kill Michael. And somehow this ending is way worse than ending A. They play out pretty much the same. The only difference is Trevor didn't come to kill him. He felt betrayed once again, even though it wasn't him that was going to get killed. He knows what betrayal feels like, so he never wants to see Franklin after this moment when he decides to kill Michael. So we end up in a gunfight with Michael, and eventually he falls off the building, leading him to his death. Franklin looks around while at an empty factory in the middle of the night. We end up calling Lamar, but there is no answer, making us feel even more alone than we already are. And that's the end of the game. That's ending B. It just felt like a punch to the gut, as the game punishes you for this, as everyone hates you now for killing Michael. And that leaves us with ending C, Death Wish. And this one is a very interesting one. So not knowing what to do, Franklin calls up Lester and meets him at his home. They sit at his house trying to think of a plan to get out of this shitty situation. And they end up thinking of this crazy elaborate plan to get out of this. Franklin calls up Trevor and Michael to meet him at another factory. And basically we're going to just send everyone our way and kill them. But first, Trevor and Michael need to settle up their feud first. They realize they can't kill each other, so they end up letting go of the situation for now. They end up at a massive gunfight once again with Merryweather and the feds, and somehow they make it out alive. But there's still more enemies that need to be put down. So this mission gets even more crazier, and we decide to go after everyone who messed with us throughout the entire story. No loose ends, as Michael likes to say. So we decide to pull off a do revenge and get revenge on everyone.
We only just begun to clean this shit up. We got a lot of old friends I think need to be re-educated.
A lot of friends. I mean, things could get really messy.
No, we just gotta silence a few noises.
Hell yeah, let me see. There's,
Steve Haynes.
Dave Norton.
No, we need him alive.
Why?
So nobody fucks with us afterwards.
What about that triad motherfucker? The one that think you two boys is dating? Shit, you know he bound to come back.
Yep, there's that.
Well, who's the guy who set up Lamar?
Stretch, we want to throw him in?
Shit, Trevor will throw anyone in just to satisfy his bloodlust.
Whoa! Hey! It's called a fucking loose end, all right? Now, if we're gonna be men of peace and tranquility, we tie up loose ends.
Stretch has been a liability.
But then we're gonna have to take care of our old pals Devin Weston and Steve Haynes.
Fuck, what a mess, man.
Well, let's get it cleaned up.
The triads, the gangs, Steve Haynes and Devin Weston. We all take out each other's enemies, and that leaves us with Devin Weston. Trevor is the one who ends up kidnapping him, and all of us meet up north on this cliff. As the classic music in the background starts playing, as Trevor sits and waits for his buddies, it feels nostalgic. After replaying the story and ending so many times, this mission was always my favorite. It just felt like such a badass and great conclusion to such an amazing game. As the final enemy sits in front of our faces, with all three of our main characters here alive to witness it. As we push Devin off the cliff, leading him to his death, we kind of just sit there like, now what? So Trevor and Michael settle things up and agree to continue to be friends. Even though they still have some problems, they still love each other. And this was everyone's happily ever after ending. Everyone got a good ending in the story and ending scene. As the setup plays in the background, Trevor left there with no ride home as the credits pop up and the game fades. And that is the ending of Grand Theft Auto 5. The true ending. These clowns on the internet have been saying like, oh, the story of GTA 5 is trash or garbage or like it's whatever. And all I got to say to that is like, I don't know, just fuck you. If you didn't understand the overall game and story and message, let me just like paint the picture for you. The theme and message of GTA 5 is, well, friendship. It's kind of cliche and goofy as that sounds, but it's true. It's truly about that. It's truly about friendships and relationships and trust and betrayal. It's about past friends and events coming back to haunt you. It's a story where everything goes wrong as the world closes in and everyone wants to kill you. The only thing you need is true friends by your side. And after playing the story mode after 10 years, a decade, the older I get replaying this game, I see me. I see myself as these characters. I see Franklin's story stuck in a place, wanted to become something more of his life and to become something great. And I see me in high school with crackhead losers trying to become something else. I see Trevor and how desperate he feels for loyalty and friendship. And I feel his pain because I've been in situations like that. And Michael with his love for old movies and finally producing movies and the story, because that's exactly what I want to do. I want to make movies. And the truth with all the Rockstar games is that they're all relatable. They all feel like a real story inside a real world, filled with so many themes of betrayal and family and honor and loyalty and destiny. It becomes more than just like a video game when you relate to it more and more when you grow up with it. And inside the world of Grand Theft Auto 5, it's like a parody of the real world. It's a parody of Hollywood. It's a parody of the government, actors, people. And when the world seems so crazy, all you really need is good friends by your side. And that is the message of GTA 5. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you made it to the end, you are amazing. And I just can't believe, once again, 10 years later, GTA 5 still going strong. Can't wait for GTA 6. One day that'll come out. Subscribe if you're new. Check out my other content. And with that, I'll see you guys soon. Thank you so much.